At the KSMO studios, it's time for us to sit down with Daryl Skiles from South Central Regional Stockyards. And Daryl, you can't beat this weather.
Good morning, Stan. Well, I tell you, it's nice.
Man.
I think we had 54 degrees or something like that.
Yeah.
At my house this morning. We're up on the hill a little bit, so it's a little cooler down the
You wait till next week when it's going to be in the 40s.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, this is camping weather here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I go camping but at any rate, if I could, I would. And this is camping weather. Just great weather. It's good
beautiful
weather for everything. We've had some rain. We've had some rain this week. I don't know how much you had. We actually were gone this week, about a couple or 3 days. So
we started, Monday night and Tuesday, or Sunday night and a Monday, and I can't remember which one it was. We had about half inch the night before, and then about quarter inch in the second storm that came through after midnight. So about three quarters. I'd say somewhere between a half and an inch, pretty much countywide. I would think.
Just a couple or 3 weeks ago. Matter of fact, it was just a couple or 3 weeks ago. We actually we didn't cancel the feeder sale at South Central Stockyards, but we were encouraging folks to hold off a week or so for the temperatures to cool down. Temperatures were in the upper 90s, bumping up against 100, and super high humidity.
Yeah.
Heat index 115, 117. It wasn't that long ago. It was the drought. I'll tell you, we were getting dry this week. We really needed that rain that came this week, but that's helped. But the grass is green and growing. And there's a lot of second cutting hay being cut and baled, which is good. And
one of the wettest Augusts we've had down here in quite some time. We were 7 inches over in August.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
which means you get a lot of rain, and usually summertime showers, Daryl, you know as well as I do, being former commissioner, you get 2-3 inches at a time.
Yep.
And it kind of washes things out. I thought we had like 7 nice little showers in there that actually green things back up on a slow basis, not all at one time where it runs off and, the ground gets kissed with a little bit of moisture and then it all runs away. We had some nice showers that actually green things back up in August, and look at the beautiful green grass and stuff we have now.
Yep. Got to mow the yard every week now again.
Oh yeah.
Went for a time,
almost twice.
Didn't have to mow it at all. So,
yeah.
But it is. It's good to see. Temperatures have cooled down. The cattle market's still hot though, and we didn't have a sale this week at South Central Stockyards. We because of the Labor Day holiday. But we are gearing up now for the fall runs. We've got a very good sale of, looks like, lining up for this week with several strings of really nice yearlings. The buyers calling all the time and checking in on what we got. There's great buyer interest. The cattle just seem to be working their way up a little higher all the time. So, by the way, for the first time in quite a while, we don't have a special guest on with us today, as you noticed, Stan. But so we'll just talk about the market and cattle marketing and some things.
Sure.
And I wanted to highlight a few things anyway as we go into this.
Well, we do have a special guest next time.
We do have a special guest in 2 weeks from today, and we have Lieutenant Governor will be here on hand, and Representative Ron Copeland has been working too. I visited with Ron about this, and we lined up a couple of places for the Lieutenant Governor to go to business-wise and things to kind of see what helps drive our economy in this area and needs and so on. So that's great. So we'll look.
They need to be aware of every area of the state. They really do.
That's right. And so we do look forward to Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe being on here in a couple of weeks. But for today, I just wanted to visit a little bit about the markets. Again, we didn't have a sale this week, but we are gearing up for a good sale next week. These feeder cattle prices and so on, the live cattle prices for fat cattle keeps setting up there at $1.80 and higher. And corn prices have kind of backed off a little bit here as we get into the corn harvest. And, price of corn helps drive the price of feeder calves, and as corn goes up, then that'll drive feeder cattle down. If corn goes down a little bit, then typically feeder cattle prices will be a little better. Now, this is the time of year, though, we end up in a kind of an unusual marketing time where we have a lot of spring calves out here in the country. I have more spring calves than I do fall calves myself. And this is the time of year, though, when those, the highest dollar cattle we'll sell at the sale will typically go to your Iowa kind of farmer feeders up in the Iowa country and Nebraska, large feedlots in Nebraska, and a lot of farmer feeders there too. But typically this time of year, a lot of those outfits, they're gearing up to get their crops in and get them out. And basically what this does is this is the time of year when there's a lot of calves on the cows and people thinking about marketing. And this is the time of year when those balling calves sell a good bit discount compared to what they would if they were weaned and so forth. You know, some of those producers up there that want to feed some calves and they're out marketing or trying to get their corn and grains harvested, they don't mind to buy some yearlings that have already been weaned and that really are kind of trouble-free cattle. And you know, you've heard me mention as I talk about the market and prices. You've heard me mention before value added.
Quite a few times.
Quite a few times. And typically, value added means cattle that have had some things done to them. They've been processed a little bit more than just pulled off the cow, and they've had their vaccinations and things. And I wanted to talk about that a little more. And just for an example, I was looking here at the sale. Last good sale we had here was August the 30th. Had a good run of feeders and several nice strings. And was looking here at some 640-pound steers at $2.85 a pound. That's $1,827 a head, a little better. $2.85 a pound. Now that compares with cattle, like cattle that weren't, and these were value added. Okay. Some other cattle that didn't come under that value added thing were closer to around 265, 270. 275 maybe, so at least 10 cents a pound advantage, and it's generally 10, 15, 20. And as we get into the fall here, these value added cattle that have been sure enough been weaned 30, 45 days is even better, that have had 2 rounds of shots. And I want to talk a little bit about some value added programs that South Central Stockyards offers. But these things really, if you're taking advantage of if you're really going to take advantage of your genetics, if you're using top quality bulls, and we've got a lot of producers throughout our region that more and more are buying top end, good quality bulls, have good quality cows. The quality of feeder cattle in this country has just gotten exponentially better over the years. Yes. And if you're going to take advantage of that, you might as well reap the benefit of adding an extra 10, 15, 20, 30 cents a pound. And it can sometimes be 50 cents a pound on some of these better quality. And it doesn't have to be a pot load necessarily to be able to reap those benefits. But I just wanted to mention, we've got 3 value-added programs. They're called StarVac, and these are exclusive for South Central Regional Stockyards. It's a StarVac program. It's a comprehensive, innovative program for cattle producers. It was initiated actually even kind of through cattle producers, and it's a herd health marketing strategy. But there's three different levels. The first level, the basic level, is what we call the green StarVac. Okay. And these are a tag. I keep tags at home myself. But the beginning entry level is green StarVac, and these are for calves that they're not in a position to wean, or they're not going to wean the calves, but at least they would be willing to go ahead and get some vaccinations in those calves. The required vaccinations are, and this is usually one shot, is IBR, a combination, IBR, BVD, PI3, BRSV. I know that's a mouthful, but that's usually
a lot of abbreviations there.
Yeah. Your animal health, the local animal health suppliers who sell vaccine will all know exactly what we're talking about. That's one vaccination: IBR, BVD, PI3, BRSV. A second vaccination, of course, is the common 7-way blackleg that everybody needs to be doing on their cattle. This blackleg is out in the country. It's relatively inexpensive to vaccinate for blackleg. These calves need a shot of 7-way blackleg. They also need a shot vaccination for Haemophilus somnus. Many times, the Haemophilus somnus will be included with that IVR BVD vaccine, or it will be included with blackleg. You can easily get readily available 7-way blackleg with Haemophilus somnus, or with H. somnus is what we call it. Another vaccination that they need to have is for Pasteurella pneumonia. Those are the required if they're going to have the green tag. And we'll have, if somebody would come to the sale and see, we'll have, especially as we get into this time of year, we'll have lots of pens of good quality calves, all with a green South Central StarVac tag in their ear. We also would recommend, of course, that the bull calves be castrated and all the cattle be dehorned, and that the cattle be treated for internal and external parasites. that generally is a pour-on wormer of some kind, of one of the ivermectins, Cydectin, one of those, and that a producer be able to guarantee their heifers open. Guarantee your heifers open is a big deal in this country. If a person will get their bulls pulled away from the cows so that those young heifers don't get bred and sell them calves, there are some of the buyers are not going to buy heifer calves if they're not guaranteed open. And what that does, I want to explain. If you guarantee your heifers open, then it's up to the buyer. If he wants to go ahead and have the vet preg check them, then he indicates that, and those cattle go back to the vet, and the vet will preg them. And if you've guaranteed them open, and one of them heifers should show up bred, then that heifer gets pulled off. She gets resold on your ticket, and then basically your check isn't cut until the vet gives the okay that the heifers have all been pregged and whatever happens there. But at any rate, the buyer, if he has that done, the buyer has to pay for the preg checking. That's all on him. Doesn't cost you anything else. The only obligation for the seller is the fact that if one heifer would get, some heifers would get pregged and would come up bred, then they're still the seller's heifers, and they get resold then as bred heifers. And, typically a 500 or 600 pound heifer that showed up bred isn't going to probably bring quite as much as a feeder heifer that was open should have. But there are, as I say, there are some buyers who are paying the top dollar for these top quality cattle, and they're not interested in buying cattle that aren't guaranteed open, and they don't want to mess with 500 and 600 pound heifers that are bred for the end user. They're just buying them for somebody else, and those people they're buying for don't want to mess with too young, too small bred heifers. So that is the one thing there. In all these programs, we would recommend that you be able to guarantee your heifers open. But that's the beginning level, the green starback tag.
So, Daryl, when you get a green star tag, is there something marked on that tag that is Skiles, comes from Skiles Farm? Or do you have a number on there?
It is a number.
It
is numbered. They're consecutive numbered. It's recorded we have a record at the barn of those. And if I give, say, Stan, you wanted tags, get your calves tagged, I'll get those tags to you. They'll be consecutive numbered. I'll have down what those are, and I will call the barn and let them know I gave Stan Podorski 25 tags numbered from this number through this number, and they have that. And it's just a way of you saying, you're willing to be accountable, that you have given these shots and done these things. And, we do expect if I give you the 25 tags, and then you're going, or whatever, that you're going to sell calves with us. And so anyway, so that's the entry level there. But yes, they are individually numbered, and they have a star up in the top of the tag, and so they're identified as South Central tags. The next level, though, is for people who will really want to take it up to the next step, that will really pay the dividends the best. And again, this is for home-raised calves on the cows. The next level is for home-raised calves that a person is planning on weaning. And if you're going to wean them, this is a red tag. Again, it's a number tag. Within, again, at any given sale, we'll have a lot of good home-raised red starback calves, and what that, it just tells the buyer that's sitting there, as soon as those calves walk in the ring, it gives him a deal. These are weaned calves, been weaned a minimum 30 days, recommend 45. But it gives the buyer, hey, look, these are kind of what you're looking for. Been weaned. They've got a full health program. Again, it's the same vaccinations as the green tag, but they've got to have at least 2 rounds of it. They got to be boosted. We'd recommend before weaning, 3, 6 weeks before you wean, that you give the first round of all those shots. And those shots that I mentioned are usually what's called a killed virus vaccine. Second round then is required on the red tag. Be given 3 to 6 weeks after the first round. Basically, it's just a booster. Again, the IBR. But the IBR, BBD, PI3, BRSV for the red tag, for the booster, it needs to be what's called a modified live. And those are using a modified live organism. It gives a much better level of immunity than just the killed, and especially giving it as a booster. Myself, what I will do is I will be vaccinating mine prior to weaning sometime and I'll be red tagging these calves. I will wean them, and probably a week or two after weaning, I will turn around and give them these boosters and give them the modified live booster at that time for IBR, BVD, PI3. Also the booster then for Pasteurella pneumonia, and another booster shot with the 7-way blackleg Haemophilus somnus. And again, with what cattle buyers, what these buyers are paying for cattle, you can't blame them. And some of them, I can tell you on some of these, again, going back to some of the buyers that are paying the most dollars, some of them really aren't even hardly interested in cattle that haven't had a booster with modified live. There's just, it's just a dramatic increase in protection for those cattle that have been boosted with modified live.
And that was my next question, because that's what South Central Regional does. Look, you got buyers that are specifically looking for that tag. Mm-hmm. Your green star, you got your red, and then you're going to get to the larger one coming up here next. But when they go in there, that's what they're looking for. They want to know what's out there.
Right. They want to know. They want to know what's some assurance that these cattle are in a health program, have some value added to them. And if they're going to pay that top dollar, it will be on these cattle that have got some value added to them. Weaned 30, 45 days, even better. My calves, after I've weaned them, they'll probably be turned out and weaned for nearly 60, maybe 90 days before I market them.
But that's why they're willing to pay more money.
Well, yeah. These are much more what we'd call almost trouble-free cattle that have been
that's what I mean.
weaned.
I kind of guarantee it, but you feel a lot better about this purchase than you would just a green star.
Well, yeah. Well, a balling calf this time of year, this is a tough time. And I mean, if you're weaning calves, it's a tough time. And these cool nights, hot days, or warm days, but cool nights, it's tough on these old balling calves. You can get by with it a little easier, actually, on these fall-born calves when you're weaning them in May or June, and the nights aren't quite as cool. And the calves, typically in those fall-born calves, once they get into the spring of year, they've been grazing a lot on their own, and they've been gotten a little more independent of mother. These spring calves, a lot of these spring calves were born, most of mine were born from the end of February through March, and a lot of people's are the same way. Some of them earlier. A lot of them will be March, April calves. Well, some of them are just 5, 6 months old, and they're still very dependent and on mama, and very attached, and now they've been grazing good, and now especially here with this grass coming on like it has been, they've been grazing and they're used to that. But typically, if you're going to wean them, you're going to have to put them up in the lot and feed them a good weaning feed. We got different feed stores here in town that sell excellent quality feeds for weaning calves on. They do good. Some people are set up to where they can what they call fence line weaning, where they put the calves in a pasture next to the cows, and they typically will have some feed bunks and feed the calves in some feed bunks there, but they've also got good pasture and shade and water where they're at, and the mother's right across the fence from you. Better be a pretty good fence, pretty tight fence, barbed wire, plus a couple of hot wires on the side.
Mama doesn't like to be away from
no, Mama wants in with them, but typically after a while it'll be the calves that'll be crawling, creeping through the fence to get to the mamas too. There. So, but some people do this, and it works really well if you're set up where you can do that, where they can be on familiar pasture and just keep right on grazing. If you can put them in the pasture for a day or two before you pull the cows away from them, separate the cows, put the cows on the other side of the fence, and make sure the hot wire's working, and get some feed in the feed bunks. That works really well for a lot of folks that can do that. Otherwise, typically the calves end up going in a lot and feed them a little good grass hay. And a good weaning feed and water, and keep them up for at least 10, 15 days, and then get them turned out into a small lot still where you can watch them and see them. Because typically if you're going to run into a problem, it's where sickness in calves you're weaning, it'll be somewhere in either the first week or somewhere around the second, third week. And I know when people say they want to sell some calves and they've been weaned 21 days, to be honest, they're about 21 days is where they're about primed to finally break with whatever's bothering them. So, that's why we have a 30-day minimum on all of these, and tell people 45 days. 45 days will be much more attractive to the buyers than 21 days, but we recommend 30 for these. But anyway, again, we recommend on the red tag, strongly recommend that they all be dehorned, and of course steers have to be, the bulls have to be castrated. We would recommend when folks are tagging them, if possible, tag the steers in the right ear, put these tags in the heifers in the left ear, and that basically what that is it's just easier for us at the barn when we're sorting. But that's kind of a minor thing. Myself, I don't, because when I'm tagging my calves in the pastures, I do have to do this by myself, and I grab a calf, and I generally grab him and straddle him with his get his neck between my legs and his head sticking out, and just because I'm right-handed, it just works out easier for me to put the calf's tag in his right ear.
Absolutely.
So when I'm tagging them with this, I end up putting all of the starback tags in the calf's left ears. So it's not a big deal if it's handy for you to, if you're ever tagging calves and you're wanting to tag them based on their sex, why generally putting the steers' calves tags in right ear and heifers in the left ear is kind of seems to be the accepted, but it's not required, and I can tell you mine will just all be tagged in their left ear. That's just how it'll be. So anyway, but that's the red starback program.
Okay.
Got to have had 2 rounds of the shots, be boosted, and that booster needs to be a modified live.
So
Intro
program is green, red, middle. You've got a better one?
And you know what? If you keep those calves back and background them at home, I mean, if you got good quality cattle, good genetics, get them weaned, kick them out on some decent grass, they'll go ahead and continue to grow at 1.5 to 2.25 pounds a day. And when you're talking about cattle bringing $2.50 a pound and more, 2 pounds a day, you're talking about $5 a day that you're making on keeping them calves around there. 30 days, you make $150. That's worth going after. Now I would say, if you do keep them around 90, if you've got the grass and the means to keep them 90 days, and I would, if it was mine, I would probably get them in a week or two before, a couple of weeks before I was going to market them, and go ahead and give them another booster of that modified live. It's not that expensive, but it will be very attractive to those buyers that are paying them top prices that these calves have also had another booster, because these cattle are going to go they're going to get mingled with a whole lot of other cattle. They're going to get on a pot, what we call a pot, the big cattle trailer, and they're going to get hauled 200, 300, 500, 600 miles and get dropped off in a total new strange environment with a couple of hundred head of other strange cattle, and they got to go to the bunks and fight for their own space to eat and these things. It's stressful. The weather sometimes, as you get into the fall and the winter, when these cattle are having to go, isn't the best. So
especially going to Iowa and Nebraska, it's a little cooler.
That's right. So, that's just some things to think about. The other program is actually a yellow program. It's a yellow starback. And what that's for is for folks who buy cattle, buy some cattle, put them together, and take them home, and straighten them out. What we call straighten them out and kick them out on pasture, and they background them. It's for backgrounders, and or stocker cattle, and they're not home raised. They're from who knows how many different producers, but they bought these, put them together, and we've got folks who do this in our area and do a fantastic job of it. And but again, it comes with the same vaccination programs with the basic, before they market them, that they need to have had these vaccinations. Would strongly recommend that they also vaccinate with the modified live booster if they want to really, and all the various health things they've done, we'll announce in the ring when they come in the ring. We want people to know. We want to share a little bit, what the genetics is, and the full vaccination and the health thing. So that's the whole idea, and that's the whole point behind it, is do what we can. It's the producers that pay the commission. The buyers don't leave any commission with the barns. It's the producers that pay the commission, and so we want to do what we can to help the producers get the most value for the cattle. More money in their pockets is what pays the bills and pays the electric at the barn.
So, Daryl, in your experience, when you see these buyers come in, and South Central Regional has some diverse selection of buyers. They come from all over the place. But pretty much every stockyard that I've ever seen, pretty well, after a while, if somebody's been back 2 or 3 or 4 times, they know them very well, and they kind of know what type of cattle they're looking for. So a lot of these buyers usually have a preference, don't they? When they come in, they're looking for a specific, for the most part, maybe a specific type of cow, or maybe a lot of cattle. Right.
And most of them know the cattle we have down here are all really good quality cattle. Reputation means a lot. A lot of these buyers will buy. They know the producers from people that bought their cattle before. I can tell you a buyer that buys cattle that, it's a new producer maybe, or a new seller, and for whatever reason his health program isn't up to snuff and them cattle get sick or what they call a train wreck, those buyers remember that really well.
Oh, I'll bet.
And you know, and it just is, and you know, your reputation is golden, and so.
The buyers
again,
talk among themselves, don't they?
They know.
They spread the word pretty quick.
They know. Yeah, they know if they think somebody sold some that was all these vaccinations and maybe they skimped on some or something, it'll show up and it'll bite and you'll pay the price then down the road. So it just behooves you to do everything you can to ensure that the person buying your product is happy with your product if you want that person back to buy, because you need it takes everybody bidding against one another to make it work better for you. Yeah, so they have a pretty good idea. Like I say, when we tell, and you know, Stan, if you sold up there for some time, we'll tell them, you know, we've got a string of yearlings. You know, Stan Podorski's going to have 50, another set of 50 good yearlings at the top genetics of Angus or whatever, Red Angus, Hereford that he's been using, to familiar with and know that they go to the feedlots and perform. You know, they're glad to hear that, and that information is shared. Ross and Bill Patton and their dad Dave, they'll be sharing with the buyers here as we go along here over the next few days about these different strings of cattle that are coming to the sale this week, and then in a couple of weeks we have another special feeder sale lined up. And as we go through the fall, that's just part of the marketing business, letting those buyers know who's got what coming and so on, and the buyers then working with their farmer feeders or feedlots as to what they're looking for and what's out there and what's available. Right now it's a seller's market because numbers are down and the price of the finished cattle is good. So anyway, I just wanted to share a little more detail because
I'm glad you did, because you always talk about value added. What did that actually mean?
Well, like I say,
now we have a better idea as to what you're talking about.
It's different levels. Value added, the basic thing, even on an unweaned ball and calf, just some basic shots and things like that is very helpful on that. But you know, I went back and was looking. I went on back here to a Wednesday sale back in June. And the prices were a little less at that time. But I was looking here on just comparing some value added. We had some 520-pound steers. Value added were $2.96 a pound. Some steers near the same size, about 540 pounds, 530 some pounds, were $2.67. Those were unweaned, no vaccinations. Just here they are. $2.67 a pound versus weaned, shots, the whole deal, $2.96 a pound.
30 cents a pound difference.
That's on a 500-pound calf. That's $150 a head, just on that one calf. You go on up here now. We had some 6-weight calves, unweaned at 240, or somewhere around 235 to 240. There was some 6-weight calves near the same weight at 279. Basically, they run 275 to 280. So again, you're looking at anyway 20, 30, sometimes 50 cents a pound on some of those calves with the value added to it versus unweaned and unknown shots. Now, you get on down to where some calves, you know, and I do it sometimes. You know, you can creep feed and that helps. Where I like to creep feed, and I mean, in today's market, you can creep feed and you'll add pounds and you'll get paid for it. The calves will get fleshy, and people have to understand these cattle, people that are buying these calves, they're buying them to take somewhere and either put out on grass and add weight and pounds to them, or put in a feedlot and add pounds. They're not necessarily wanting to buy added flesh and pounds that you've already put on them. They want to buy calves that are growthy and that will put pounds on.
Sure.
You're not going to get paid as well for a fleshy calf as you will a thin calf that can go out there. And you know, sometimes some of these thinner cattle, you know, here just a couple of weeks ago, we sold some calves weighing up in the 435 or so, for like $3.14 a pound. Now these calves have been weaned a long time, had some shots, and these calves, you go out and put them on some good grass and they'll gain 2.5, 2 3/4, 3 pounds a day. And so again, now they were pretty lightweight, but again, you know, 400-pound calf at $3 a pound or 3.25.
But the potential for a big gain near the end is
there you go,
much higher.
There you go, and that's what it's all about. Everybody's buying them to go ahead and put some weight on them, and hopefully get paid for that weight, and hopefully they make a profit. And I'm selling feeder calves. I really hope that everybody down the line, I mean, there's going to be calves I buy are going to go sometimes, depending on when I sell. Some of those calves are going to go to grass for a while, depending on how big they are. Most of the ones that I sell, the time I sell them the weight they are, they're going to probably go in a feedlot. My goal is for them calves to do well, and for them calves to gain really well, and for that guy that bought them make money on them. I don't begrudge anybody buying my calves make money on them. If he doesn't make money, he's going to bid less next time for whatever he's buying.
But you're making money too.
If I'm happy with what they brought for me, then I want the other guy down the line, and then he's got to sell them to a packer, and the packer's got to put them in, get them cut up and put them in a box and sell them to the retailer, and the packer's got to make a little money, or he's going to bid less, and then he's going to sell them, send them to the retailer, to the Applebee's or to the Country Mart or Walmart, and they need to make a little money on it. And so everybody needs to make a little money as you go down the line, or somewhere along the line it starts backing up. And,
so a question. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, when we get into a numbers problem where we got more numbers than what there's demand for, then that's when things start backing up real fast. But right now, the numbers is in our favor, and going to be, looks like, for a while.
So a question I was going to ask you, because I just heard it again today, and I kind of caught wind of this yesterday, because one of the refineries is down in the United States.
Yes, I heard that.
So now we're starting to talk about, again, we're going to talk about raising gas prices, and we're not talking about a gradual increase. We're talking to 50 cents to $1 in the next week.
That's what I've heard.
You know, now if that goes up like that, and we talk about, you're talking about all the different shipping, and every one of those shipping is going to be affected by that, which means your end cost, Country Mart, Applebee's, wherever it may be, is going to go up substantially if this goes into effect. This 50 cents to $1 a gallon more.
That's pretty incredible. I heard that too. Yep, $1 a gallon. Might as well get ready for $1 a gallon increase in fuel what we have. And these cattle get on we can load basically 50,000 pounds, 100 head of 500-pound calves on a pot and haul them quite a ways. But that thing's only going to get, that truck hauling them's only going to get 4, 5, 6 miles to the gallon. Maybe, I don't know exactly what they get. There's somebody out there got a truck that will take me to task on that. But 5 or 6 miles to the gallon. That trucking cost, and these rigs aren't cheap.
No.
And hauling cattle's not an easy job. And
you've done it many times.
You've got to be. I've hauled a lot of them, and these guys that pull these pots and load those things. That's it's not as clean and nice and easy as it might be loading a van trailer with a forklift. And some of the cattle are a little uncooperative, you might say. And of course, and then not only, and we're talking about the feeder cattle market, but the weigh cow market also is extremely good. This last sale we had a couple weeks ago, I think they called the slaughter cow market another $2 to $4 higher. So about any slaughter cows, all the slaughter cows generally will bring 90 to $1, and a high dressing cows will bring $1, 5, 10, 15, and higher. And the slaughter bulls up there around $1, 10, 15 to 20, 25, or 30. These are bulls just to go to slaughter, and so. It's just a good time to be marketing cattle. It's a great time for a person who's got some old cows that are marginal. As they go to weaning calves this fall, those old marginal cows, they need to take a ride, even with high fuel prices.
And that's going to affect everything.
Yeah. But we have a new cow slaughter plant opening up. Going to be it's building right now up west of St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Charles County.
Out in the Wentzville, O'Fallon area out there. Yeah, which is going to be a real help for this area right now. All the cows all go out of state for processing.
Well, St. Louis used to be a big hub years ago.
Yep. Kansas City.
They had, I know my dad was an wholesale meat distributorship. They had 9 slaughterhouses in St. Louis.
Swift and Armour and all of them.
Cry Packing Company and Max German. They were all slaughterhouses in the city limits of St. Louis, if you can imagine that. And how many of those different trucks came over from the East St. Louis stockyards, Daryl? Can't even imagine to tell you having to go across a 2-lane bridge, because there wasn't a 4-lane bridge at that time.
Yeah.
And then getting into downtown St. Louis and maneuvering that trailer around. I'm telling you what, It was pretty impressive.
Yep, I'm
Watch
sure it
these
was.
people
I've heard
do it.
about it. I never ever got to see it myself. I wish I had. But yeah,
I got a
It's
chance to see it when I was a young boy, and I tell you what, it was interesting, educational, but it's something that's in the past. And
In a period of a
that'll
few
never happen
years,
again.
it all changed dramatically in a period, really, a relatively few years. So anyway, I did want to visit a little bit more on the marketing thing. We do have, I have, if anybody interested, I've always got a sheet. It's just a producer sheet. We'd like for them to sign if they will. But if anybody's thinking about marketing some calves, and anyway, the sheet I've got here, it explains the Green Starback program. I'll hold it up to the microphone so people can see
So
it.
everybody can see it.
Yeah. So, at any rate, anybody interested in any of this on the Starback programs or whatever, if they're thinking about selling some calves this fall, I welcome them to give me a call. My number is 573-308-5415, or you can call the barn anytime, and they'll put you in contact with Ross Patton or Bill Patton or their dad, Dave Patton, and that number up there is 573-422-3305. That's the phone number for South Central Regional Stockyards office. Bill Patton's wife Laura runs the office, and she will line the boys out to get back to you, or give me a call to get back to you as well. At any rate, but if we can help you somewhat or in any way on marketing some cattle or getting some getting trucking arranged to get your livestock to the barn, or you want to visit about what would be a good time, or what have you, or if you're interested in buying some cattle, to background, or some cows, some good cows. We'll have some special cow sales coming up this fall, and we'll make folks aware of those as we go along. But
Especially if you're
it's a
new to
good
the
time.
business, if this is something that you really want to get into, and don't try and take it on alone, because there's a lot of things I'm sure you cannot even imagine you have to consider as a producer. So be thinking about it. Get in touch with somebody like Daryl, the Pattons up at South Central Regional. They can answer a lot of questions that you may not even know you have yet.
Thank you, Stan. Yes, I'd strongly recommend you come up to the barn on a sale day and just come in and sit. Got a beautiful arena. It's cleaned after every sale. They're very particular about that. It's a very clean barn, and the grounds are very clean and neat. Got an excellent restaurant right there on the side of the barn.
Can't miss it.
Run by Tracy Patton Shiver. That's one Bill and Ross's sister. That she runs the restaurant and does a great job. It's a great meal you can get there. So come up and enjoy lunch and watch the sale and kind of see what different cattle are bringing and why, and get a chance, if you ever get a chance to come up before the sale, visit with the guys up there about what you're thinking about doing and what you might be interested in, or what you're thinking about as far as marketing and so on. They'd be more than happy to visit with you, and maybe depending on what we've got on the yard at the time, visit with you about cattle and what if you're going to get into business, then obviously you'd like to make a little money too, and you might as well be trying to produce those kind of cattle that have the best chance of making you a few dollars.
But it's good to talk to the people in the know. And if you were brand new coming in, you may not know about the vaccinations. You may not know about the green tag, the red tag, those STAR programs that really can enhance the value of your cattle.
Sure can.
Daryl, like I said, so many people, they're novices. They get into it. Then they think I can make a lot of money, but they need to understand that there's a lot of commitment to being a cattle producer, isn't there?
That's right. Yeah,
ton
it
of
is.
commitment.
And and we're talking about you doing this to add value to the cattle for the guy buying them. But the fact is, if you're going to wean them and you're going to turn them out and get the advantage of turning them out and gaining some weight and getting some dollars, and if you're going to wean them, get these vaccinations in them can help prevent you from having your own train wreck, so to speak. I mean, these calves need some vaccinations and help boost their immune system a little bit. It's important, that they're on a good plan of nutrition, mineral-wise, and so forth before you ever wean them and get them in shape. But it's a benefit to producer and to the seller to get these
absolutely
get them vaccinated. So I'm getting ready to do all the vaccinating of my whole herd here within the next week or two. We'll be weaning some calves in October.
And that's what I was talking about. There's a commitment you have to make as an individual, or as a family, or if it's a group of you, if it's a partnership, whatever you do, if you're going to go into this business, because You're in constant watching your cattle. You got to make sure they're healthy. You want to make sure, and you got to worry about the weather. You got to worry about drought. I mean, there's a lot of different things you have to be concerned about. It's not just throwing them out in the pen, let them go eat grass, and then come back 10 weeks later and sell them.
Always got to plan ahead.
Yeah, sure do.
Yep. So, and this is the time of year. It's why I really appreciated the chance here, and I didn't really work very hard about trying to have a special guest on today because I did want to visit a little more right now at this particular time about the importance of getting these cattle vaccinated and be thinking about the value-added programs and adding some value to your cattle for yourself and for the folks that are buying them, and put some more money in your pocket in the bank and then go spend it here locally, and everybody benefits.
Everybody's happy. You
That's
betcha.
right.
Well, Daryl, we always thank you for coming in. This program is sponsored by South Central Regional Stockyards. Daryl provides you with some of the market information that we have today and some of their programs. And if you have any questions, again, you can get in touch with Daryl or the barn, either one, and they'll be more than happy to give you information. Daryl, you want to give those numbers one more time?
Yep. The number at South Central Regional Stockyards is 573-422-3305. And that would be Ross, Bill, or Dave Patton at the Stockyards, or you can give me a call anytime. My number is 573-308-5415. I live right here in Salem-Dent County. Been here all my life. Family's been here since the 1800s, so haven't ever found any better place in the world we'd want to live. Wife and I done a little traveling this week, seen some beautiful country, but it was good to get home. Yep. So anyway,
especially when the weather's like it is right now.
So anyway, we're gearing up for a good sale at South Central Regional Stockyards this week, and getting kind of geared up for the fall runs at calves. So come visit us and give us a call at South Central. So we'll be back here in a couple of weeks.
2 weeks.
And with special guest Lieutenant Governor, if nothing bends or breaks, Lieutenant Governor Mike Key will be on. But until we're back here, we do hope everyone will be safe, happy, healthy, and God bless each and every one of you.
I'm back in the saddle again, out where